Welcome everyone, this is Amy Rogan, and this is our new official COMMcast. It's a monthly podcast that we're producing here in the communication department just to talk about what's going on around and in our department. Today I'm joined by Alex Davis, who is new faculty and manager of WLFC 88.3 campus radio station. He's diving into student media with us, so I thought we would just start with a little bit about you. Let people get to know who you are, where you're from, and how you got where you are now.
I got you. No, cool, for sure. This is like interview day all over again. So originally from Dayton, Ohio. Education-wise, pursued my bachelor's in media communication as well as master's from Bowling Green State University, where I'm now finishing up my PhD. And like you said, this is my first year at Findlay. I'm still relatively fresh to academia, but I do have a background of 13 years in broadcast, primarily radio, all different types of music programming, whether it's urban, top 40, sports, but radio is my passion. I love radio. So this opportunity fell in my lap, as I think most great things do. They just kind of hit you in the face. You never know they're going to come, and so I'm just very happy to be here. So I'm here at the University of Findlay now as an Oiler.
Why radio? What made you decide to go into radio?
Always loved music. My dad is a hip hop head. Being from the East Coast, New York, he grew up on hip hop, and then he gave me that love. And so at age of 6, 5, I was listening to like Criss Cross, and then he had me listening to stuff I shouldn't be listening to at that age. But nonetheless, that developed my love for music and hip hop specifically. And so in high school, I began to produce and work in music, and that kind of spiraled into college as well. And it got to my freshman year. It's like, okay, if I don't do anything with music, or if I'm not making money from music by the time I graduate, I need to have a backup plan. But I still want to do something entertainment music-wise. And so I got involved with the school radio program. And at that point, it was just that. It was, let me have a backup. And little did I know, I was going to love radio. And that passion just spurred into something different. So then from there on out, it was radio. I have the music aspect. I have a platform that I can utilize and provide to other individuals. I love to interview. And so it's actually kind of weird being on the other side of an interview right now. And speaking about myself, but that's where the passion and love for radio came from, and it's still there to this day. So I took time off from 2019 until a few weeks ago, August 1st, 2021, as I was in the PhD program. And so it's kind of a good step away, but it's also like, man, I miss radio. So I'm really happy to be in this spot, in this position, and to be able to shine light on students and others, and hopefully provide them with resources and abundance of knowledge to do what they want to do.
You were in radio for a while. How did you see it evolve?
No, I saw it evolve quite a bit. Because radio is always going to be around. There's always going to be frequencies. It's a free medium, if you will. As long as you have a car, stereo, what have you, you can listen online now. But you don't always need personalities in that spot. And even before I got into radio, you saw that happening, that transition, as there have been cuts and whatnot. But we see radio go from having live on-air bodies in studio to now being syndicated. It's a little bit less live and local in your bigger markets. And so I think it's kind of scary to look at radio now because jobs have gone away, but at the same time, there's still a lot of jobs. You still have independent radio stations. I know I'm kind of taking a long time to answer the question, but one way that it's evolved is through internet in general. And so without radio, we don't get to podcasting. And so individuals are starting in podcasting and making a name for themselves and becoming even bigger than big radio personalities. So one way it's evolved is that we're losing live and local, but we have the opportunity to become big and syndicated, and you can grab that name a lot easier. Your personalities are not necessarily owned by the conglomerate anymore if you can sustain that following and build your own platform. So I think the aspect of building your own brand has helped individuals significantly. Now I can grab an agent and I can hold down a spot, and the radio owner has to kind of, if you will, cater to that if they want me on their station. So I think the idea of branding has been big in radio. Another aspect is that I've seen change is that radio has become more visual than ever. Once upon a time, radio, people would say, you have the face for radio. It's kind of an insult, actually, or it was an insult. But now, radio is not, it is visual. You can't have radio without being visual. You have to be online. You have to be on social media. You have to create content. And so I think that's probably the biggest change, is that radio is not just behind a microphone. You better be creating visual content, whether it's interviews, whether it's segments, whether it's you're writing articles online, posting on social media. You got to be on TikTok and Instagram and Twitter and Facebook and YouTube. And it's all very overwhelming, but that's also part of the job. And not just radio, but a lot of different entertainment entities. And so I think that's probably the biggest form of evolvement for me. Yeah, form of evolvement, if evolvement is a word right there. In academia, don't quote me. I have not finished my PhD yet. One more year.
At the University of Findlay in the comm department, we talk a lot about digital storytelling and creative storytelling. How do you think radio helps tell story?
Man. Very carefully. For one, seeing radio evolve, that's a story in itself. But when if you're doing radio correctly, I'm choosing my specific field, which is music-based, top 40, or urban, if you will, either one. But you're catering to an audience, whatever your demographic and specific market is. And so I always go to live and local. What's going on? If I'm in Findlay, what's going on in Hancock County? What's going on in even Wood County, Lucas County, the surrounding areas, the 419, if you will. That's your demographic. That's your market. And so you want to hit the big stories, but you also want to hit the small stories that they relate to, that someone in Nebraska is not going to know about because they don't live in Findlay, Ohio. And so you're telling the story of the residents of Findlay, Ohio, in one way or another, whether you're doing a shout out to the local businesses, or you're discussing the score of the Oilers game or the Trojans game in whatever aspect of sports. You're telling the story of the residents. You can host segments, topics like question of the night or something like that, and you have callers calling in, and they're sharing their experience, and so you're collectively telling the story of the city, if that makes sense, in so many words or less.
As we talk about digital media, I'd like to tell my students that, a social media post, for example, if I post something on Facebook and I start getting comments, I've created community with just that one post. Then each thing tells the story of that community, each post.
Each thing. And even on that one post, not everybody has to agree, but if they do, that's beautiful. But nonetheless, like you said, you've created a community. And now everybody that's part of that post is a part of that post in that community. I like how you put that.
Why teaching?
No, you know what? It's weird. So during my master's, I wasn't always... my undergrad, I wasn't a bad student, but I wasn't the greatest student. Never saw myself getting into teaching, to be honest. But I specifically got into my master's to get an internship at SiriusXM. Had to get academic credit. And I'm like, well, I got to go back to school now, so I got to take my GRE and do all that stuff. And so I did it. And little did I know, after my internship and as I started my coursework, that I was going to enjoy it. Dr. Melcody, he was my advisor, but also my teacher in undergrad and graduate school. And he just made it seem fun. It was easy to him. And he was happy. Every class period, he wouldn't hesitate to make a joke or pick at his students, but it was always in a warm way. And he made you feel very welcome. And so when I saw individuals like him, I'm like, okay, this might be something I could do. And so then it became in the back burner, like, okay, finishing up the master's. I've gone this far. Well, I might as well do it. And so it kind of spurred that. And then other professors along the way, Dr. Rosati, and you just see I think a lot of individuals look at their teachers like they're almost not human sometimes. And that's how, as a student in younger days, that's how I looked at most of them. But you get those few that hit you like, oh no, they were really cool. I could relate to them. And they presented things in a very welcoming atmosphere. And so it made me want to pursue it. And yeah, so now I'm here. Okay. Yeah, I want to be able to provide that same message and aura to the student population, and hopefully be able to provide them some resources to which they can utilize.
Not only are we getting a new manager at WLFC, we're kind of getting a new WLFC.
I really walk into a beautiful situation. Our old station got reoccupied, and it actually worked out beautifully for us. So now we're in the AMU. Beautiful new studio. It's almost done. I know everybody's, when's it gonna be done? It's almost done. I don't have a specific date, but they're working and it looks great. So we're gonna have brand new studios. We're gonna have an on-air studio, production studio. We'll also have a podcast studio that is able to be utilized by whoever on campus, which also aids in what we just discussed, content creation. And the plan is to get proper equipment in there for students to be able to create and add to their catalog and package for whatever reason. Even if they're not a comm student or they don't work for any of the media outlets, you can still come in here, use the podcast studio. If you want to check out equipment, do that and work. But for sure, we would love to have you in the comm department, and we would love to have you in campus media, UFDM. But yeah, it's a beautiful situation. I'm very grateful.
What's your vision for WLFC?
So there's a show on Netflix, Last Chance U, and these coaches walk into these JUCO football and basketball programs that are not, and this is not saying that we weren't thriving before, but these programs are not thriving, and they turn them around and make them like these beautiful, blossoming programs. And so I haven't been with WLFC before, so I'm brand new, but my goal is to make it prosper, make it flourish. And I know that's broad and not as descriptive, but to make it welcoming and to make students want to join the radio station, to make it just bright and shine. And then in turn, hopefully that not only encourages students to want to come to the University of Findlay, but also to the comm department, and then come to the radio station specifically. And then not only do we do that, we create this community in broadcast, digital media, journalism, that, okay, now University of Findlay Communication Department is known for creating exceptional broadcast students and sending them out to the field. And if you want the best people on your team, you're going to recruit and hire from the University of Findlay. And so that's kind of where I see WLFC going in the most specific way I can think of right now.
Up to now, it's been an indie station. Do you plan to keep that identity?
Yeah, I think so. Because I think that's part of the community as well. And format-wise, it would take quite a bit to change. Not that it wouldn't be something that we would do, but also the aspect of supporting independent artists has always been something that's near and dear to me in whatever market or city. And those are the individuals that someday are going to be the big artists, right? And so if we can play an incremental role in getting you to that next level, then you know, we kind of put ourselves in the history books. Okay, we were the first one to give so-and-so a look, and now so-and-so is, wow, so-and-so. And I think it's all about what our department has been about, that I've experienced in the past couple weeks, is service. And so if we can serve you, serve others, not only are we doing that and serving the community, we're also serving ourselves. And not to like sound selfish, but it feels good to help others. And so I think that's the goal. I like staying indie, and I think providing a platform to indie artists is a great thing.
A student comes and wants to be part of WLFC. What do you want them to walk away with, and what kind of knowledge and skill?
I want them to walk away first. If they didn't come in with an innate love and interest in radio, I want them to walk away with that. But I also want them to walk away polished. You're going to sound good on air. You're going to develop your own voice, your delivery, your sound, your inflection. We're going to work on that. And part of that is developing your confidence on air. I think your voice is everything. Developing your own identity on there, and making sure that you're staying true to yourself. You don't have to create this alter ego or character. You can be yourself. So your voice, your delivery, that's big. But also production skills, catalog. You're going to learn to not only produce your voice, but add effects, produce commercials, produce different segments, and things of that sort. We're going to learn to create commercials or create content. You're going to cut, edit, not only audio, but also video, and just to create their overall brand, and whatever that means. If you're a pre-vet student, if you're a pharmacy student, and that's what you want to talk about, cool. We'll cater to your brand in that area. If you want to talk about something completely different outside of your major or discipline, cool, we'll help you there. And just to help grow their catalog and portfolio to have after they get out of school. That's the goal, yeah.
The University of Findlay is an independent small college. We have quite a bit of student media, though. Would you agree with that? And what do you think of our student media programs?
I love our student media. I think we have great resources. I think the idea of the Pulse and having a newspaper still, and even the aspect of the Pulse being online, right, is beautiful. That's where we're at. We're in a digital space. And so I think that's great. Although I do miss physical, tangible items. And maybe that's just because it's how I grew up, but I miss them. I used to go to the airport as a kid, and I would have to get a magazine every time. And now it's like, okay, well, now I'm just going to be wasting my money getting a magazine. But it's also that aura. But UFTV is beautiful. We have great studios to be utilized. And yeah, as a car goes by, just added sound effect. But no, I think our campus media is great, and I just encourage students to get involved, because it's not every day or every moment in your life that you have these resources right outside of your dorm room or apartment down the street that you can just come to campus. And I'm not sure if I should say this, but in my collegiate experience, we never got paid to deal with campus media, right? And so granted, there was just that love and passion. I was going to do it because I wanted to. I was a radio nerd at some point, and so maybe someone is not like that, and that's just fine. But you get paid. Come on. And you develop a portfolio catalog. You can create a brand, create a name for yourself, and you can. And if this is not something that you saw in your vision, it's a way for someone to step outside of their comfort zone. In the comm department, we're big on public speaking and principles of speech, and getting confident on a microphone or in front of a camera, for that matter, or even developing your voice behind words, is only going to develop confidence when you go into a professional setting and you're speaking publicly, whether you're giving a presentation or you're speaking to a group of kids at a youth event. It's only going to make that seem that much more effortless, the time you put in now.
You've been here a few weeks, so what do you think of the University of Findlay in general now?
Love it. And I'm not just saying that. I got asked a question, or my dad actually he works in another field, but he does hiring. And he said, I always ask the question, how you're happy right now. Do you see yourself giving me the same happy response 3 years from now? And everyone always says yes, yes, yes. And then so he asks them 3 years down the line if they're still there. Do you still feel the same way? And sometimes they say yes, and sometimes they say no. And so I say that to say this: I'm coming into an environment that has been nothing but positive over the course of the last 3 weeks or so that I've been here. And there's been nothing but community. What I see is that there's not a lot of competition among faculty or staff, which is beautiful. And not that to say that no one is thriving. You can see success all around you. So it's like, okay, it's more assisting and aiding. How can we help each other to get where we want to be, not only individually, but collectively? And so I don't think there's a lot of environments like that. I haven't been in a lot of environments like that career-wise. And so to walk into that is refreshing. And so ultimately it's been a beautiful experience in the last 3 weeks. And so 3 years down the line, hoping I'm still here and that they'll still have me, I think that I'll be saying the same thing. So, yeah.
What do you think people don't know about the University of Findlay?
University of Findlay is definitely a hidden gem. I don't know if I have a reasoning behind that. It's just kind of just like, okay, if you don't know it exists, you don't know the greatness that's here. And as cliche as that may sound, it's true. I mean, I'll take it back to campus media. And that's where I've been, obviously, since I've been here. So it's I can see how many people don't know about it. And so the goal is to make the entire campus aware in whatever capacity, and want the entire campus to want to get involved. And so if you're not aware of campus media, UFDM, you've got UFTV, you've got The Pulse, you've got WLFC. I'm going to keep screaming the call letters the entire year until you come talk to us.
We also have PRSSA, which is the Public Relations Student Society of America. So we have a lot of great opportunities for students that want to get involved. And I'm with you. I don't think people realize that all we have here at the university, on top of the fact that we have a beautiful campus and supportive management.
It's very home-like here. It's very comfortable. And so I think that's an aspect that you may not get at another institution. It's not gonna be the same feel. And having been at other institutions, it's okay. Well, nope, it's not the same feel at all. This is definitely you're leaving your home, but you're coming to another home. And so hopefully we can continue to make that a theme and a trend for everyone that comes here.
Well, thanks to Alex for joining us for our very first UF COMMcast. And for those of you who are listening, if you want more information about any of the student media and the communication program, you can check out finley.edu/communication.